Yo, what's up? Hey guys, what's up everyone? Yeah, it's time. It's time. It's a time for another AMA with the YGG community. And again, my name is John Sedano, Community Marketing Manager for Yield Guild Games, and my partner. How's it going, man?
Very good, Sedano. How's it going?
Yeah, man. I see that. I think you've settled down into your new home. So I think it's a hotel that I think. Are you buying the hotel? Because you're still there.
I'm hopefully going to be, I'll be leaving for New York in the next couple of days. So yeah, but yeah, a little bit more hotel life for the time being. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. But I mean, it's really good to see you because like last week, we had a different AMA. We were on Telegram, with Binance India, but this time we are back and we have very special guests tonight because we have OP Games, the guys.
Hey guys.
Who are the masterminds behind Arcadians. So yeah, take it away. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Sounds good. I guess let me get started. First off, I do like the energy, Sedano. Like it's awesome. It's way early in the morning for me, so it's getting me pumped a little bit with the help of my coffee. But hi, I'm Chase, CEO and co-founder of OP Games. Quick intro: I've been in the game space for the last, I'd say, 13, 11, 12 years now. Most of which is in the browser and mobile games business, specifically publishing. And 2017, we founded a company. Back then, it was called Alto.io. And then we pivoted over, changed the name to OP Games. And here we are right now talking to you guys about the recent developments of what's going on with us.
Cool.
Awesome.
And maybe I can add a little bit there, John. So I'm Paul. I'm the CTO of OP Games, and similar to Chase, I've been in the games industry for quite a while. So I started a company called Altitude Games back in Manila, and we kind of spun out OP Games from Altitude. And when we kind of saw blockchain and how it could help game developers, that's what we wanted to do with Alto.io. Chase and we wanted to help game developers see what can be done with pay to earn, what can be done with crypto. So here we are, and that's what Arcadians are all about.
I mean, yeah, Saratobi, are you there? Oh, sorry about
Oh yeah,
that.
sorry about that. My line was just have a bit bad connection. Yeah, we're really excited to hear about your project Arcadians, guys. I have to say we've put a few questions together for you guys. I mean, both myself and John have had the pleasure of actually having a good look at Arcadians, but we'd actually love to hear your elevator pitch for the project if you were happy to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd say Arcadians is a collection of 10,000 NFT avatars that's built around the arcade of the metaverse. Essentially, we're building OP Arcade, where a lot of different games would exist, owned by different types of communities, and Arcadians is going to be a huge part of that specific, let's say, congregation of games, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I guess to add to that, I'm sure like people in the YGG community have seen all of these avatar projects, 10,000 avatars like Board Ape Yacht Club, of course, CryptoPunks. And we kind of saw that as something that game developers can take a look at and build communities around. So we're starting with Arcadians. We're making that as our, I guess, Genesis NFT. And we're gonna take this template and gonna help our game developers really make the same, the same NFT projects and build their own communities using these NFTs.
I see. I mean, actually, I've been following Altitude Games like for a while now because I have one of my friends actually like works there, and if I'm not mistaken, you guys are one of the first like Filipino like game studios that got into the blockchain space with Battle Racers, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's really, I mean, it's really good to see like our country like like just having their own foot in the whole blockchain space. And I mean, the project in itself, it's really something that I'm looking forward to, especially it's coming from you guys. And I mean, it does have like the recipe, like the ingredients are there to make a really good contender in the NFT and the blockchain gaming space. But I mean, I'm really curious. So like, what was that like the moment? Like, what made you decide that, you know what, like guys, like we have to do this, we have to make this kind of game, and it's time to do it.
I guess let me start, right? So, 2015, I was working in China as a games publisher, so essentially investing in games and publishing them into our network. And that's kind of like where I met Paul and Gadi, our two founders of Altitude Games at the time. And we sort of like, became friends, got together. I tried to publish one of their games, which is a really cool game. It was called Holy Ship at that time. That didn't work out for us, but fast forward 2017, we all sort of have like this connection of like being in the games industry, but at the same time having this passion for crypto and blockchain so early in the game. And so we all decided, you know what, let's take a leap and let's go ahead and form the company together. And that's kind of like how Alto.io was born. And I think a big chunk, at the very least personally on my end, as to why I decided to sort of like move over to traditional gaming to the blockchain space is, as a games publisher, I've seen the inequities and the inequality in terms of like how games are being published. And the Web3 space is really changing that in terms of like how even a small player in the space could make a dent and could make a huge difference in terms of like what types of games he can put out there, which is something that is kind of difficult within the Web2 space, given that you need a huge amount of budget. You need a publisher for you to be seen by the entire world, be published by the entire world. So I think this is a good moment for us to sort of like, hey, I think we need to empower more developers to get into the space, and that's kind of like how I started.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I only wish that like I had the knowledge and the grasp of like creating my own games, because like I feel that I have ideas, but I don't have the technical know-how. And it's good, like like there are guys like you who actually like make these stories like come to life. I mean, also like Saratobi, I know he's a big fan of like of all the new games that are coming up. But like Saratobi, like what actually like what actually do you think Arcadians has and OP Games has that could maybe like probably like set them apart from everyone else?
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting, basically, in my opinion, to see how it can help allow other developers to build a blockchain more easily into upcoming games and kind of plug that into their projects. So that's going to be an extremely exciting thing to see. And speaking of which, from like the kind of blockchain side, which way do you guys think you're going to be going? Do you think you're going to be kind of multi-chain, or what's your kind of approach going to be there?
Sure, yeah, I can take that. So at least for the Arcadians right now, they're currently on the Ethereum mainnet, but we've built our technology also on the Near blockchain, which is where we're building OP Arcade, and we're kind of looking at other layer 2s as well, like Polygon and BSC. So yeah, to your point, Saratobi, we want to be cross-chain. We feel that like there's really a lot of value if your NFTs and games can kind of communicate over all of these blockchains. So yeah, starting with Ethereum and Near, but we're kind of going with the layer 2s as they make sense.
Now that makes a huge amount of sense. And in terms of the frameworks that you guys are providing to games developers, do you think that you're going to provide any kind of tooling to allow for like multi-chain, any kind of like bridging mechanisms or anything like that at all? Or?
Yeah, definitely. So I mentioned the NFTs. The Arcadian NFTs currently are on Ethereum mainnet, but we are planning to build more gameplay and more mechanics around them, which would make more sense on a layer 2. And once we do that, we are open sourcing a lot of our work. So what that means is the tools that we build, we give the code freely to our partner game developers so they can build on top of the work we've done. And I think that's really the power of Web3 and the games that we see now on blockchain is everything is open source. They're being built on top of each other. And I think once we have the Arcadians as a core component of that, and we have all of these game developers that are building games with them, then people will really see what kind of new genres can be created on Web3 and on OP Games platform.
I mean that's really cool. I mean, so sorry. Go ahead, Toby.
No, go away. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, because I mean, like like getting into this space, like it's a new technology, and I mean it's quite a challenge, how to integrate like what we actually know about gaming and about game about for you, especially for the developers. It's there's kind of that there's kind of that bridge that you have to cross, and there's so much that everyone like has to learn and try and test out, and like just basically a lot of road testing to be done before you could actually like put out the game. And maybe because that's the reason why we have a lot of games like going out in alpha, going out in beta, like not even fully launching, but they already have players in it. But I mean, I'm more actually like interested like about the team right now. I'd want to know, so what's the story behind your team? Like, why is it Chase and Paul? How did you get, like how did this tandem like come to fruition?
Yeah. You want to start, Paul? You want me to go? Okay. Let me start with that. So as I've mentioned, in terms of like how we sort of like came together, it was around, I think, 2015, 2016 when I met Altitude Games. Right. At that time, I was a game publisher in China, and typically my role is to invest in games and to publish them to our network. And so when I met Altitude Games, at the time it was Paul and Gadi who I met first. Actually, it was Gadi who I met first. And asked me to take the leap on moving on to the blockchain space back in 2017. And then we're like, okay, I think we need a tech person, and that's kind of like where Paul came in. And so we founded a company together. I met Gadi, but I haven't met Paul. But the three of us sort of like came together at the time, and that's kind of like how Alto.io was formed. And that's kind of like how Paul started to sort of like deliver all of the technical roadmaps that we have. It was a very challenging sort of like last 2 years to get from 2017 to 2021. Quite honestly, the bear market was fairly stretched. And I think, what Paul and I did is just to continue really building a couple of the techs that we have now in OP Games. We have to be creative in terms of like how we sort of like go with the funding. We have to go, we have to be very, very frugal as well. And that kind of like sort of like set the tone for the last year or so in terms of like what we're actually doing in the space, because it gave us more level of understanding just by observing and just by basically experimenting on things with little to no resources at all. And I think like because of that, we're here and it's a little bit much better on the funding side of things, which is fantastic. And so now we're just like heads down building all the things that we need to do.
Yeah, and I think to Chase's point, I heard someone say that we don't really like bear markets, for example, because everyone's focused on the token, right? But Chase and I have been really through, I guess, the bear markets, as you mentioned. So we really are focused on building, and that's really what OP Games is about, is helping game developers. I'm a game developer myself. Before meeting Chase, I've been making games for almost 20 years, and it's really hard to make a successful game. So we want to help game developers make something like Axie Infinity, for example, or all these other blockchain games that they can use as a template to create something new that will allow them to build games outside of what the current markets look like, and that's what really is exciting about Web3 and blockchain.
Yeah.
So as you guys have been in the kind of gaming space for so long and the blockchain gaming space for quite a long time, what do you think are going to be the kind of core attributes of the most successful blockchain games and play to earn games that will be coming up in the next year or two?
Yeah, I can take that first, Chase. So in my case, I've been seeing a lot of these new games that I guess that can't be done on Web 2. For example, the play to earn genre, right? Like people are able to earn coins. But what I'm starting to see is perhaps the games that are going to come out of blockchain aren't the same games that we see. Like, for example, if you're playing a mobile or a video game, it's always tapping buttons, right? But if you look at the blockchain now, there are projects like the Loot Project, wherein people are making these NFTs and just building stories around them, building apps around them. There's this project called Untitled Frontier, wherein people are co-writing a universe together. So I think it's more like we're looking at games that are, I guess, becoming more part of our realities. I would say it's more like they're making Dungeons and Dragons on the blockchain rather than just a video game on the blockchain. So it's all very experimental, and I think that's what's really exciting is we don't know what's going to come out next, right? Like crypto, for example, no one saw crypto coming. And I think in the next 2 years, we'll be really surprised what kind of games we'll be playing on the blockchain.
Yeah, and just I guess to add to that, there's plenty of economic incentives that presents itself on the blockchain, as opposed to traditional gaming. We all know that traditional gaming in general is very extractive. Coming from a publisher perspective, that's kind of like my number one priority in terms of like how I publish games. How much money can I extract from people? Given that I publish this game, because at the end of the day, it's revenue and profit that makes sense, at least for most game publishers. And then I realized that what, it's sort of like really killing the creativity of these game developers, because there's a set amount of metrics that some really creative games is not able to actually achieve, just because we've created a standard that's sort of like pre-packaged already, so that game developers in the Web2 space already know exactly what the formula is. And that sort of like took away the creativity away from them. And I think that blockchain in general and crypto in general sort of like challenges that paradigm. And I think that it's a good thing to expect more play to earn games coming in the horizon, and not just play to earn games, but also play to earn games that's balanced with fun as well. Because at some point, we'll realize that when you're playing to earn, it becomes work as well, right? And we are very cognizant of how we can go ahead and still continue to incentivize play, but also giving them that fun, that adrenaline, and that sort of like happiness that they get from playing games.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I'd really agree with. I think that we need games that gamers want to play regardless of the earning mechanic, and that the earning mechanic is just an additional byproduct. Obviously, I mean, there will be gamers that kind of, it's fantastic how play to earn games facilitate, the earning of funds for people that might struggle to do otherwise. But I think for the kind of long-term sustainability for this of the space as a whole, I think it's going to be important that players are actually kind of participating as just players and enjoying the game experiences.
Exactly. Yep. And just, I guess, quickly to add to that, with what Paul mentioned a while ago, players' participation is going to be key in the blockchain and gaming space, not just on partaking in the economic incentives that the games provide, but also in the development of the game itself. And that's kind of like where the DAOs would come in eventually, in terms of like not just the game developers building the game on their own, but also having the input of a DAO, of like a player base, some sort of like a working DAO in a sense, where the players are also a huge voice in the development and the creation of the game. And I think that's really, really important, something that we haven't seen in Web2. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, sorry, John, but I was going to say on the Arcadians, we're trying to do a bit of that. Like we're co-writing the lore of the Arcadians with our community. For the auto chess game that is the initial demo for the Arcadians, we're trying to co-create that with our community as well, asking them what skills they would like to see for their Arcadians, for example. So it's all very, very exciting when you're able to reach the community directly, and they're able to I guess define how the game looks like and the community looks like with you.
I mean, no, I totally agree with you, Paul. Because I mean, yeah, I actually like my friend who works for Altitude Games. Like, I see how he works. Like, he comes up with all these concepts, like these skills, these characters. And I mean, imagine like you being at home, like working on a game, and you get actually like real live feedback from the community that you're building the game with. So I mean, it doesn't just only like give you more ideas, makes your job easier, but man, like when these features come out, like the person like me, for example, I made a suggestion. Imagine me how ecstatic I'd be like seeing like my input like actually being brought to life, and that just gives me like more reason for just to play the game. And it shows like how much like the developers actually have concern for the community. I mean, like working on the community marketing side of things for YGG, I mean, that really plays a huge role, having these community members having their voices heard, and also like the developers having a real almost like a real world like a relationship with the community. So basically it's a living organism as a whole, that it's not just a game anymore, especially with Web3. I mean, I just want to really talk about some features of Arcadians. Like what specific features are you really proud of, or are you excited to just show the world? And I mean, are there any upcoming releases or maybe leaks that you can share with us?
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess if you kind of take a look at the ArcadiansIO site, you can kind of see there that we talk about game Legos. And what that means, as I was saying, is that people are building, because of the open nature of blockchain and NFTs, people can start building games on top of them. So the Arcadians, you can see there that we have an auto chess demo, but we are in talks with several developers also to build other games that allow you to use the Arcadians. One of them is I guess an alpha I can share is we have a developer we're working with from the Gitcoin community, and what he's doing is building like I guess similar to like an adventure game, like Morality Manifested, where you can use your loot to be able to go on quests. So aside from the auto chess game, the Arcadians will be usable on another kind of game. And that's the vision for the Arcadians, is that it's not just going to be the auto chess game. We're going to put them in a lot of games, and a lot of and they'll also be part of the lore. So we're kind of writing a comic around the Arcadians, and some of the Arcadians that you have, you'll be able to see in a comic that's coming soon. So yes, I guess those two things for now. That additional game, aside from the auto chess, and the comic that will have more. I guess we'll have more updates on that over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
guess
I mean,
just to
thanks.
quickly
Oh,
add to that.
sorry, Chase. Go ahead. Sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, just to quickly add to that, another thing would be so we're building what we call the OP Arcade, and the Arcadians will also play a huge part in the OP Arcade community as well. So essentially, OP Arcade is, imagine yourself walking into a games arcade, seeing multiple types of games, and then owning some of these games. Typically, arcade games are owned by the arcade owner, but in our case, these games in the platform are actually owned by different types of communities. If you have an Arcadian, which is basically your sort of like avatar in the arcade that we're building, you are basically entitled to some of like the little perks here and there that the platform would eventually provide for you. So it's more than just like the PFP project that most have. There's a lot of like utility to the Arcadians, and just stay tuned, because there's actually more that we haven't announced just yet. And we're building on this one, and hopefully we get to share this with everybody very, very soon.
All right. I mean, so now I have a question. So, what are the requirements for the community to participate in all these coming releases? What do we have to do? Like, like tell us, please. We want to know.
Right. I guess Paul, you want to start?
Sure, yeah. Oh, well, our thought process when making the OP Arcade also and the Arcadians is we want as many people to be able to join the OP Arcade community. So if you just want to check out OP Arcade, just join our Discord at OP Games. But if you do want to, I guess, have a deeper connection, as Chase mentioned, with the ownership of the arcade, of being part in the lore, being part of co-creating the game, you could check out ArcadiansIO and mint some of our NFTs, because we're kind of, these NFTs also, one thing to add is like 100% of the Ethereum earned from the NFT sale, we're going to send out to our partner game developers. So all of these are people who will be building games on top of the Arcadians, and people who are helping build blockchain games with us. So just check out ArcadiansIO, join our Discord, get some NFTs if you want. But just joining our Discord is a good step, I feel.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, just to quickly add to that, like I think we have to emphasize that you owning an Arcadian, you're greatly helping not just the cost of the Arcadian, but also the costs of 3 different things, right? Paul mentioned the first one, which we have our partner developer grants. So these are game developers who's really interested in getting into the blockchain, and at least a certain portion of the Arcadian's proceeds will go to them. On top of that, we also have our games accelerator program, which essentially will fund Web2 games going into Web3 games. And I believe that we've announced that a couple of days ago, but YGG is going to be an important partner on the accelerator program, and that will be a really, really good partnership to have, because we're going to enable more games coming into Web3. And the last bit would be the game engine, the open source game engine. They will be the recipient as well of the YGG of the Arcadians proceeds. So if you're looking into Defold, to Godot and Phaser, all of them will be receiving support coming from the mint that you do on the Arcadian side of things.
All right. I mean, yeah, thanks for that info, man. But before we move on, I'd actually like to invite the community. So if you guys have questions, the best way to shoot them over is on our Discord, AMA discussion text channel. So everyone's live here. We can see all the chat and all the text. But also for those watching on Twitch and on YouTube, feel free to send your questions over to us while we have our guests here. So Saratobi, do you have anything?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited to see this one develop. I have to say, and participate in the exciting experiences that they're going to be coming up soon.
All right. Actually, have like a pretty interesting question. Like, is there a date that we have to look forward to? Like, what's the timeline for this? Like,
Well, with regards to the Arcadians are already out. Like people can already go to Arcadians.io and purchase an NFT if they want to. And maybe I can answer that question also, John, which is if you have already one Arcadian, is there a benefit to have two or more? Yeah, at least for the game that we're building, for the auto chess game, the Arcadians are actually your characters. So if you have more than a few, and you have several classes of Arcadians, then you'll have more capabilities. They'll have different skills on the auto chess game. And of course, as I said, the Arcadians, they're not just going to be on OP Arcade, right? Or not on the Battler, but also on some other games. So as you build more games, then the more Arcadians and the more traits that you have on the Arcadians, the more capability that you're going to be able to unlock when you're playing the different games.
all right, I see. I mean, so like YGG is a gaming guild. So like like the guys here, like we're looking forward to like hopping in the game and like playing together. But yeah, I mean, let's say for example for Axie Infinity. So now like in our tournaments, like we actually like found a way of just creating teams and just like just putting in some like guild dynamics like here like in the game that doesn't have that. But for Arcadians, like how do you see like YGG participating and having like teamwork in the game? Is that possible?
Yeah, I think there's just a couple of points of partnership that actually would be really good with YGG. A big chunk of that would be definitely the Arcadians. I think that one of the questions here is quite relevant to that. Like in the future, will Arcadians venture into esports scene similar to Axie? I think that at some point Arcadians will be very competitive enough that it actually could be a contender as well to be in an esports game. Not like Dota in the sense that it's going to be like really live, similar to that, but rather like in a different perspective, allowing us to create competitive tournaments within the arcade as well. That's actually one of the game Legos that Paul is building. Competitive tournaments, player versus player, these are things that's already in the pipeline, and I think the SDK is really ready for some of these. In terms of like having a guild to back the Arcadians, it's really going to be a really promising sort of like an angle, just because like the more Arcadians there are out there, the more utility we can provide, and the more people in the guild could go ahead and play the Arcadians. And so just I suppose like right now what we really need to build is a really sound game with good economics, at the same time more feature sets in terms of like how the game is played, because it's going to be very similar to Dota Auto Chess with its own twist. And so with that in mind, we really have to think about the metadata. We think about the skill sets, how it's going to work out, and balance it all up to make sure that it's fair, it's even, and then no matter what kind of Arcadians you have a chance of winning at the very least, in playing the game.
Yeah, I mean that's really good to hear, because I mean, having a game that that's basically like pay to win, it's quite gonna be challenging for a lot of people, especially like I mean, even though for YGG like we do give that leverage to our players that we can we can lend you the assets that we have, like the NFTs that we have. But I mean, for the whole general population, like we definitely would want to see like a game that's equal to everyone, no matter like what income class you're from, like no matter how much NFTs you can ape in onto. But I mean, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And now I have a good question from a community member from Discord. His name is Neil. So let me flash on the question right here. So what will be the process for game developers and publishers to get onboarded with OP games?
Sure. Go ahead, Paul.
I can take a bit of that around the process for game developers first. So as I mentioned, we're building the game Lego. So there's a lot of ways that the game developer can get started. So it kind of depends on which game developer we're talking to. For example, if you're a game developer who has a game that you created already that has a good IP, which your community recognizes, we kind of lead them towards exploring what we're doing with Arcadians, for example. What if we create like NFTs around your current IP? So we're talking with several developers like that now. So some of these developers I'm very excited about. These are game developers who have been making games outside of NFTs, but have a huge following already. So that's the first step. Is if you have a game that you think would do well with NFTs, we'll gladly help developers with that. The second one is around the tournaments, as Chase mentioned. So we have OP Arcade. So we have partner developers who have simple games like casual game, hyper casual games like that are competitive, points based. So we can add the SDK there, and they'll be able to be playable in OP Arcade. And we'll try to find some tokenomics or play to earn aspect around them. And yeah, and maybe Chase, you wanna take care of the publisher side.
Yeah. And so basically, what we're trying to do right now is, as I mentioned, parts of the proceeds of the Arcadian will go to the game's Accelerator program. And what it does is basically field a lot of like different games from Web 2 to move into Web 3. We've onboarded a couple of people in the space, specifically from hyper casual game developers in Web2, as well as a couple of people from Facebook Gaming, to actually run the program itself, so that we could go ahead and see which developers have the potential to actually enable their games with the tooling that Paul and the team has created. So it's going to be, imagine it being an assembly line of Web2 games, and then Paul and the team putting in all of these components that makes them suitable for Web3. And then all of these games will eventually become a published game into the OP Arcade, and that's where everybody can play it. That's kind of like how our thought process in doing this, so that we are able to actually generate supply as well as distribute all of the supplies to the community. When we talk about supply, we're talking about the games that's coming in from the Web2 space into the Web3 space. So that's kind of like our process right now, and we can't wait to announce more of like what the Accelerator program would look like. But stay tuned; it's gonna be this year.
Awesome. I mean, I'm definitely like looking forward to that, like especially for all the beginners, like all the new game developers in the space, because I know actually know I know people who who've only wanted to just start making games, but I mean they only did it because of the blockchain and the NFT gaming space, and now like they have like one less thing to talk to think about, to learn, if you guys are going to be creating that platform for them. And I mean, it just makes everything easier. You don't have to you don't have to hire a bunch of developers who know Web3. You don't have you can just basically do it yourself with a few couple of friends, and basically all it takes is it's a good idea, and who knows, you might be the next Axie Infinity, right? Yeah, I mean, Saratobi, you might have some questions for our guests. Alexei, you there? All right, I think Alexei's has been having some connection issues, but yeah, so please bear with us. Again, I'd like to invite everyone who's here on stream, just shoot out your questions. I'd like to encourage everyone to take the opportunity, especially for those who are Arcadians NFT holders. It's gonna be, it's only gonna be one of these few times that we have both of our guests together with the YGG community. But I mean, I'd like to thank everyone who's actually like tuned in, who's been helping out. I'd like to make a shout out to our stream marshals. We have Steffi, we have Sil, and we have Helmark from the community. And again, as we mentioned, actually the Arcadians, I mean, OP Games is going to be doing a giveaway for the community later. We are going to be giving out Arcadians NFTs. So you guys, you know how it goes, you know how we do it. You have to stay tuned. You have to do your research as always, and we will be asking questions related to the AMA today, and also some stuff that you have to do some digging yourselves. I mean, so I'd actually wanna ask. So, what's the best way, aside from Discord? What's the best way where we can find updates? Yeah, probably like your Medium. Do you have a YouTube channel? All the other stuff that we can just have on our list, that if there's an update, like we know where to look for it.
Yeah. So there's a couple of places where we do that. So right now we're still building our YouTube channel, But right now, aside from Discord, Medium is actually a great way for you guys to hear more about the Arcadians and OP games in general. Our Telegram group also it has a lot of like links related to Arcadians and to OP games that you can follow. And at the same time, we have a mailing list that is available on opgames.org, where you can throw in your email and we could go ahead and send you weekly or bi-weekly updates of what's going on the product, on the development cycle, and pretty much everything that's OP games and Arcadians related.
All right. I mean, yeah, thanks for that, man. Because like we do have like a lot of new community members who are actually going to be hearing about Arcadians and OP games for the first time. And I mean, so like right now, like the team that you have, I believe so. You're not working in a central office. Everything's still decentralized. Everyone's working
Yeah.
from their own spots, right? But I mean, if I was, let's say, I'm a new member of the community and I'd want to actively participate. Like, are there any openings on your team? Are you looking for any talents? Or like what actually, how can the community contribute, like, basically?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're open to every kind of talent there is out there. Human capital is key right now to our growth, and whether you are part of the community as a community moderator, for example, please feel free to reach out to our admins in the community on Discord specifically. If you're a game developer or a developer in general and you want to build the infrastructure with us, feel free to reach out to me or to Paul. We're active on Twitter. And just to make it easy, my Twitter ID is Chase Freo. That's it. Yeah, if you're a marketer, if you're a product, a product manager, we're looking out for a lot of these types of talents, including artists as well. We're growing our team very fast in this next couple of months. And so, if you're interested, we'd love to work with you.
Yeah, and to add to that, and also to add to your point, John, wherein there's a lot of game developers or just people who want to get into game development, right? The blockchain is the perfect time to do so. If you've seen a lot of these projects, a lot of them are just made by a few people, right? And they're able to become successful. So just get started there, and yeah, join our Discord if you want to know more around how to make games and how to make NFTs. We'd gladly help, and maybe eventually we'll make games together, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's glad that you actually like brought it up. I mean,
Mhm.
I do actually want to ask like a specific like a question for you, Paul. I
Sure.
mean,
Mhm.
what would be your what would actually, no, just both of you. What's gonna be your advice for for the kids or for newbies in this space who want to start making their own games? Is it possible to be like be like you guys like one day? What advice do you have?
Yeah. Well, honestly, the first thing is really to just start playing games, understand what makes them fun, right? That's the hardest thing I would say in game development is knowing how to make something fun, and that's what takes a lot of the process. But also maybe just start thinking about what part of the game development process you yourself are drawn to. I would say some are artists, for example, so start
Yeah.
practicing your art skills. Some are good at programming. I myself was, I guess, I got into game development by going through computer science. So I started learning languages, and that's how I got my foot into the game industry. So if that's something that you like, some people really like coding. I remember when I was young, I really liked that also. So that's what I focused on. So so that's game development skill sets that can contribute to making a game. So just I guess start with one, start making a game, understand how your skill can contribute to a team, and then I'm sure you'll be able to get there. And maybe just make a game. Use Minecraft, use Roblox, use whatever tool, Mario Maker. All of these skills will help in when you're trying to become a game developer, making games for as a living. Then that would be cool.
Yeah. And I guess like just I think Paul covered everything. And I guess just one more thing I guess would be like on the business side of things as well. Is that the game in general is really all about passion a lot of times, right? You build games, you use like open source game engines, you go to itch.io to showcase your game that you've built over like like the last month or so. But really, if you are keen on entering into the gaming space, and you're not a builder or you're not a coder, the business side of gaming is also equally fascinating, and that revolves around the analytics, that revolves around being able to actually understand gaming behavior, that revolves around economics, which is something that's really, really important when it comes to gaming on the blockchain. I think all of these things are applicable. It just takes a lot of know-how in terms of like understanding games in general, and the best way to do that is by playing the games that resonates to you, but also being conscious of like what makes it fun, what makes it something that you really like playing. And if you know what it is, I think you're in a good spot to actually be involved in the industry even further.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like the blockchain industry is relatively like very very young, and I mean,
Yeah.
as you guys mentioned, I think it's basically it's just a free market for anyone. Like if you have the talent, if you have the passion, I mean, definitely like find your place. I only wish that I knew how to code. The only coding that I know is from making bots in Ragnarok online when I was in high school, but
That's
it
a good
goes as
start.
far it goes as far as that. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, what I choose to actually like do, like especially my advice for the community as well in the relation to what we're talking about is, yeah, like just like find your spot, like see how you can contribute. I mean, like maybe come up with, if you're an artist, come up with your own artwork. Who knows? It's gonna be like I don't know. It's gonna be one of the biggest NFT projects like in the future. Yeah, it's basically everyone's welcome. Everyone's free to join in. Just I mean, if you have the right intentions, if you're really passionate about what you want to do, like just like these guys that we have tonight as our guests, then nothing's impossible. That's just, I really want to say, as cheesy as it sounds, man. But I mean, yeah, of course, like I'd want to thank both of you for sharing your time with us here, and I definitely want to invite you, because we do have another show with the YGG community, and it's called the Game Hunters. So yeah, I want to make a big shout out to our friends from the Game Hunters. We have Last Dragon in here on Discord, who's been helping out, and also Gohan, who's been helping out with the restream, and everyone else. So how Game Hunters works is, once there are
Mhm.
games that are playable, so it's the YGG community actually tests the game. So
Okay.
these are community leaders from all over the world. We have Last Dragon from the U.S. We have a Boss from India. We have May from the Philippines, and we also have Cydrake from Mexico, who represents Latin America. And it's just basically, it's our way of trying to check out the game. And because like for us, like if the game's fun, then everyone else will follow. And these community leaders, are our basically our is the community's gateway, to the rest of the community. And we definitely would want to see, once the game's ready, like expect us to be there full force. We're going to be supporting it. So I mean, just before we go on and move to our giveaways, do you guys have any last do you have any words for the community, Chase?
Yeah, I guess on my end, thank you so much for the support as always. And I guess my message to the community is, be passionate, keep on being passionate about the projects that you support, because it means the world to those people who are building, knowing that there are people behind them who really agrees with their vision, who really agrees with the way they look at things on the gaming side of things. Be vocal about that. Participate in the community. Your voices are more important than anything else. And this is something that we take really into consideration. We're not in the Web2 game space anymore, where I build the game and you guys take it as it is. This is a place now where you can contribute your thoughts, and you can contribute, your learning into building the game that is really catered towards the entire community itself. So that's my message to everybody.
Awesome. How about you, Paul?
No, yeah, I guess I just want to thank the YGG community also. And as you mentioned, John, we do have a demo of the Avatar Battler game that we're working on with the Arcadians. So if you guys want to check that out, it's also on Arcadians.io. There's a link there. And just let us know in the Discord what kind of stuff you want to build on. Because, for example, like I don't know if there's a lot of Underlords players here in the YGG
Ooh,
community.
yeah.
So Underlords kind of
I
died,
love
right?
Underlords.
No one's building on it anymore. But that was a game that I also loved. So at least here with the Arcadians Avatar Battler, we can continue building on it together. Let's make it something that will last the test of time, I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we still have a couple of minutes, so I actually like pulled up my screen here for the Arcadians the Battler demo. So if
Hmm.
you guys don't mind, would you want to like jump in, just show everyone
Sure.
how
Yeah.
it works? I mean, I have it on screen here, but I think would it be good if like one of you guys do it yourself, so we know how
Yeah.
we
Oh,
just
go ahead.
follow the lead. So feel
Sure.
free
Yeah.
to share your screen anytime.
Start sharing my screen in a bit.
So yeah, just reminding everyone to stay tuned because we are going to be giving out Arcadians NFTs. I mean, Chase, do you have how many NFTs are we going to be giving out tonight, or is it just
Uh,
one?
Let me check. I think we are giving a few NFTs. Is that right,
Oh,
Paul?
nice.
Here.
There we have Paul on
Here we go.
screen.
Yeah. So I'm sharing my screen now. So this is the Avatar Battler that we're working on. I guess it's very early on, so not all the effects are here yet. But one thing we did want to highlight is, as I mentioned, what we're working on with OP Games are game Legos, where we want games to be able to be played across chains and be able to use your NFTs across all over the metaverse, I would say. So here you can create your wallet, or rather you can connect your wallet if you have one like MetaMask or Wallet Connect, but I'll just skip that for now. So here, if you can see here on the game, we can have your Arcadians join the battle. Aside from that, we have other partners as well, like for example, the Bag of Beasties, which is another NFT project. Um, we have demos there also of the moonshot bots. And how we built this is any NFT actually can be used to battle here in the Avatar Battler. So that's why it's not an Arcadians Battler, but the Avatar Battler. For example, if you put a CryptoKitty there or even a Nazi, then you can it will be able to be usable in the game. So it depends on what kind of skills we put on there. For now, all of these are random, but for the Arcadians, it will depend on which class you got and what skill they'll be able to use. And yes, from the question, can Board Ape or a Cyberkong join the battler? Yes, they can. But as I said, for now, it's all random with the skills. But what we plan is, as we kind of collaborate with these games or these NFT projects, we'll add special skills to them. So here, let's go. So this is just a simple demo. So as I mentioned, it was like Underlords. We're still building all of the skills here. We still want to co-create this with the game, with our community, but it depends on the skill. For example, if your character is a knight skill, then it or is a knight class, then it will allow you to stun your opponent. And if it's like a tech class, then it adds some skills to, or it adds some stats to your other members in the team. Um, so yeah, so sorry.
Awesome.
And then you lost.
So guys, guys, it just comes to show how balanced the game is. That even the game developer
Yes,
loses
that's what I'm
in his
saying. Yeah,
own game.
that's what we're showing how balanced it is. But yeah,
But yeah,
so
as to your question,
yeah.
John, a while ago, we'll be dropping three Arcadians after this.
Nice. All right. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to that. So I mean, before we even all right, I love to see this. So now we even have like a NFT dungeon, an NFT dungeon NFT like right here battling. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool
the
because I mean, you know what? Like it's kind of weird because I'm not sure if I'm having like extreme deja vu, but I'm pretty sure I came across this game and actually like tried this out like just very recently. Because like on my free time, I just like like people, my friends are just sending me links of like games to try out and see. But I don't know why, but it looks hella familiar, and I'm pretty sure I've tried this game out. I'm not even
yeah.
kidding, or I'm just having extreme deja vu.
And NFT Dungeon, the creator of that is Sam Ellis, which is
Yeah.
also he's the creator of Adventure Time, so that might be familiar to you as well.
You know what's pretty funny, Paul? Like we had the AMA with Curio, and like out of nowhere, Juan just just pops in Sam Ellis into our AMA.
Oh,
I was starstruck, but
good.
I mean even more than that, like my wife who was sitting like right next to me is a huge fan of Adventure Time, so our minds were
Oh,
blown. And they did also give out an NFT. I think
mm,
yeah, one of our community members was lucky enough to get one of those NFTs, and I mean yeah, it's really cool to see. But yeah, you mentioned
yeah.
that right now if you have an NFT that you want to get into the game, so it's basically it's randomized. So
Mhm.
there's a chance for, let's say for example, like a, let's say an axie, like an axie with basically with bad skills that doesn't have value, but in this game he's gonna be like a godlike NFT or a godlike. There's a
Yeah,
possibility for that. Is that what you're saying?
it is, yeah. So now the skills aren't really defined yet, because we're focusing on the skills of the Arcadians themselves on the game. But yeah, as we kind of add support to more all of these other NFT projects, that is definitely possible. So at least your NFTs that you're not using in any game, you'll be able to use here, right?
Yeah.
Especially all of these PFP projects that I guess are only profile pics, and at least you'll be able to use them here. I don't know, John, if you remember a game called Monster Rancher, wherein you would put a
Yes.
CD. Yeah, so it's
Yes, you
something
have
like
to
that.
put a
So
different CD. You have to put a
yeah.
different CD of a random game, and then you're gonna get a
Mhm.
random monster. It's supposed to be like an Easter egg, right?
Yeah, so something like that. Any
That's
NFT will
pretty
work
cool.
here, yeah,
Yeah.
and the
That's pretty
skills will be
interesting.
different.
And I guess just to quickly balance it all off, like I think what we're leaning towards is basically these metadata is presented to them. The skills that is presented to them before they enter the battler. So it's going to be some sort of like a play on decision making as to what sort of like skill sets would you want to include before you go into battle, because that's going to sort of like interact or counteract as well with the skill sets that your opponent is going to choose. So it's really going to be a very exciting thing to develop as well for us. Any land plans? And the question on the right, we don't have any land plans just yet, but we're here to hear out the community and see what they think about these things. And then would there be a chat box or voice for this game that can easily be implemented? Definitely something that we can actually explore once we've refined the gameplay itself.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think we touched on it earlier, like about you guys like exploring, having the Arcadians on different chains. But like right now, like so, it's all ERs, it's all Ethereum NFTs that are available to be minted, right?
Sorry, yeah, yeah. For now, they're all Ethereum NFTs, and because also a lot of these projects are on Ethereum, and a lot of I guess technically also a lot of it's much easier
Yeah.
to use Ethereum NFTs on these projects. But yeah, we're really exploring how to make all of these cross chain. We have a lot of technology we built on Near Protocol, which is one of the faster, I would say, because of the scale, faster and more UX focused chains. Um, we'll also try to bridge it with Polygon and BSC as well. So yeah, around play to earn functionality, we are really investigating that. Of course, when you have an Arcadian, we want to build value around them. So we are planning for you to use your Arcadians and earn some tokens as you use them, and also possibly like add some form of gameplay on a layer two, similar to how Axie does it, right? Where you have to move it to a Ronin chain to
Yeah.
Ronin, and then that's where you play. So we are planning something around that because, of course, gas is too expensive right now to do that on mainnet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. Like, cause like especially like with all the other, NFT projects that are coming out from different chains that have, really have potential in my opinion. But I do have to agree. I mean, Ethereum's like pretty straightforward, and like especially like most of the people who are getting into blockchain, just straight up try to learn Solidity first before anything else.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really good. I mean, thanks for sharing the game with us.
Welcome.
I'm definitely excited to see how this game turns out in the future. I know we started a bit late, but like right now we're at 11:02, so we're a bit on overtime. But again, we're gonna be doing the giveaway right after we end the AMA. So how we do it is we do the giveaway giveaway on Discord. So I'd like to invite everyone who is watching live on YouTube and on Twitch to join us. It's discord.gg/YGG to join the giveaway. And again, we're going to be asking a few questions. Some questions might even come from the OP Games team right now that I'm going to be asking later. So yes, we're going to be giving away 3 Arcadians NFTs and also 2 merch packages from YGG. And you know what, guys? It's been a pleasure. It's been really happy to meet you guys. I've been a fan of what you guys are doing. So I mean, I hope to see you soon. And thank you so much once again. My name is John Sedano, Community Marketing Manager of YGG, and tonight we have our guests from OP Games, the masterminds behind the Arcadians. So we're really excited to see how this game turns out, and I'll be seeing everyone soon. Bye bye.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
all.